Well, the only answer that I believe would make sense to almost everybody is name me a professional in the world that continues to operate at a professional level at some degree of top 100 in the world at the thing that they do that doesn't practice anymore. Name me anyone that's competitive that stopped practicing. Whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's UFC, whether it's Formula One, whether it's golf, whether it's soccer, whether it's rugby, whether it's basketball, whether it's NHL, whether it's NFL. Tell me a pro that operates at a high level consistently that decides that practice is no longer relevant.
The answer quickly is zero.
I can't find one, right? I cannot find one. And therefore, practice is a superpower. It gives you an edge.
What if the words you've mastered to win trust no longer work? In a world saturated with scripts, automated responses, and compliance-driven conversations, the most powerful tools we once relied on, our words, are starting to show their age. Whether you're navigating the new rules under Trello or dealing with emotionally fatigued clients, or trying to stand out in an AI-powered sales cycle, one truth is emerging. Yesterday's language won't get you today's results. And no one understands the evolution of persuasion communication better than our guest today, Phil M. Jones. He's not just the best-selling author of Exactly What to Say and the creator of the role play, Exactly What to Role Play. He's the man who taught over 2 million people how to influence, but with integrity. So welcome, Phil, to the Money, the Mindset, and the Mentoring podcast. I am so excited to have you today.
Hey, Steve, a joy to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
Now, I'm going to just open this. This is something that every time I talk with somebody, if it's in jiu-jitsu, I use these words. If I'm having a conversation with some of my underwriters and one of my mortgage teams, I have these words. And the words are, if the worst time to think about the thing you are going to say is in the very moment you are saying it, then to be your best, it would make sense to practice. That's like gold, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Walk me through how you got to that. I mean, it seems pretty pedestrian when you first look at it. It's like, yeah, dude, go practice. But why do people miss that gap?
I think people that are looking to achieve exceptional results want it to be really hard. They want it to require levels of individual brilliance in micro moments, and high levels of performance can remain out of reach when you believe that the way that you achieve high levels of performance is with some form of wizardry or mastery that is beyond the average. The reality comes, though, that achieving excellence in every area of life requires a significant number of reps that allow you to step into environments with true confidence. Now, true confidence often gets misplaced with arrogance. And what we think is somebody who's confident is somebody who's so sure of themselves that they come across with an air of almost obnoxiousness. So people are like, I don't want to be that. True confidence is stepping into an environment saying, I've been in a situation like this so many times before that regardless of which way this works out, I got this. Because you have reps. And that's what practice looks like. When you look at a professional that practices on a basketball court getting ready for game day, what does practice look like? Practice looks like practice. It looks like taking the same shot from the same position for 100 reps. Are they likely to do that in a game? No, but if they find themselves in that situation in the game, can they take that jump shot with a greater level of confidence? Yes. It's doing the basics to a high standard consistently, the basics to a high standard consistently, the basics to a high standard consistently. And in most of our professional lives, we find ourselves on several of the known moments on repeat, and then go, well, what do I do in this moment? Yet in reality, you should have been ready for it. So that's why we practice.
John Danaher, who's one of my favorite coaches in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he coached George St. Pierre, one of the greatest of all time in the UFC, Coach Gordon Ryan, Nicholas Mergali, Gary Tonin. I mean, this guy's just a beast when it comes. And one of the things he says is Jiu-Jitsu is one of the best ways to teach the mindset around the idea of making decisions under stress. And that comes through not only is that repetition, but also having that strategic awareness, focusing on the principle side and not just the mechanics. And when you talk about wizardry, I know a lot of people are so enamored with the Exactly What to Say, and they grab the cards and they know the words and they pick them all up. But I know when we sat in one of your masterminds, the thing you talked about is the idea of the principles being senior to the mechanics of the words. And of the principles, what would you say is one of the most important principles?
I mean, every sequence of words that is written in the book exactly what to say is not really a sequence of magic words, even though it's disguised as such. It's a deep-rooted principle around influence and persuasion that is disguised as magic words. It's probably the one principle and piece of research that shows up through the majority of the examples. It is the importance of the creation of curiosity, or that in turn, a curiosity gap. Is what can be done in conversation that you have put known unknowns into conversations that makes you pulley and not pushy. And the mistake that many people make when they pick up the book is that they think the words are magic. So they do things like they try to force all the words into one piece of sales copy, or they try and force all the words into one conversation. Or worse than that is they use a sequence of words that's intended for this, for that, and then wonder why it doesn't have the result that you're looking for. A hammer is a very useful tool, but it's not good for picking a lock.
Well, it depends how good you are with that hammer.
Well, you might get in through the door though, right? But there is going to be some degree of collateral damage that's probably irreparable that somebody's going to be less than happy with. You might have got in, but they don't like how you got in, therefore the result of which is you are now not a welcome visitor.
Well, and that's actually a really interesting play on a conversation, because there's many times that you could convince somebody to make a decision, and the collateral damage is the next day they cancel it because they didn't feel confident.
100%.
So that is using the hammer to open the door and then getting what you want, but then watching it disappear.
100%. And these are the challenges that exist with people, is because they're always looking for the cheat code. People want the short answer. They want the easy button. There's a strong possibility that someone's watching this podcast episode right now because they're looking for what is the simple, quick fix, hack, easy button that gets me from where I am to where I want to be. And you can watch and consume all the content in the world. There just isn't one. Yet what there are ways in which you could elevate a practice that allow you to have a competitive edge versus everyone else.
Again, it goes down to practice. And when you have somebody who's, a good communicator, how do they remain open-minded to the idea that they still have to practice?
Well, the only answer that I believe would make sense to almost everybody is name me a professional in the world that continues to operate at a professional level at some degree of top 100 in the world at the thing that they do that doesn't practice anymore. Name me anyone that's competitive that stopped practicing. Whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's UFC, whether it's Formula One, whether it's golf, whether it's soccer, whether it's rugby, whether it's basketball, whether it's NHL, whether it's NFL. Tell me a pro that operates at a high level consistently that decides that practice is no longer relevant.
The answer quickly is zero.
I can't find one. Right? I cannot find one. And therefore practice is a superpower. It gives you an edge. Everyone's looking for what is something that can give you an edge in a highly competitive environment. Well, the one thing that can give you an edge better than anything else is when you step into an unknown moment, you have a known unknown because you've been in this situation in the past in a hypothetical secondhand experience. Therefore, what you've got is one up on doing something for the first time.
So why do business people not adapt to that? Because I know in a quarterly earnings kind of environment where people are always focusing on what are you doing today? How are you getting into action? Training can typically fall to a second place in many organizations. How do they see that turning around their organization such that training becomes the number one priority because they know that's going to give them better outcomes in those high stake moments?
I think many do. The challenge is, though, that many organizations have missed what training really is. If we look at the last 10 years and the need for information, most training has been knowledge-based training. Product knowledge, process knowledge, system knowledge, access knowledge. True training really needs to operate in three areas. You've got a knowledge-based area, which will never not be important. You've got an attitude-based area, and you've got a skill-based area. What we've forgotten in the last 10 years is skill, because we've so much focused on system and process and application that we've disregarded that skill is a necessary part of what it is to be able to win. And because the world has moved so quickly, if you can master your attitude and you can be running the right system, the right process, you can have some degree of autonomy that's happening here, the skills become less important. But what we've now experienced is all these Venn diagrams are now overlapping. Like, Steve, you could grow your business because you could access a level of reach that you couldn't previously have accessed in the past, which therefore your competence didn't need to be so good, because what you did is you had a 10x, 100x reach than what you would have had back in 2014, 15, etc. You could reach more people more easily. But where we're now experiencing the problem is so can everybody else. So your reach went bigger. So did all your competition's reach get bigger, which now means all of that reach is saturating each other. The differentiator is back to skill. It's a predictable cycle when you look at it from that decision or that dimension. And looking to be able to say, how do you win more than your fair share? Says, what do your skills look like when you're in this given?
Nice. That makes so much sense. And when you're working on your skills, you have to go back and you have to take a look at the things that you've done and say, what do I need to do differently? What do I need to stop, start, continue? That kind of a thing. And a lot of times, I guess the question for me to ask you is just, what have you done when you look at what you've done? I mean, you started off, I think it was in a car wash business when you were a kid. Yeah. Then you were a top sales rep at some company.
Yep.
And then you moved on and you started, I think, $240 million worth of real estate, I think is what it was, something like that. Just 5 people. Like, you've just kept on scaling up. And now you've built this great business of exactly what to say.
Nearly 3 million copies of the book. I mean, we got a lot going on. There's 100+ events a week that are happening around the methodology. There's a lot.
So when you're working on that, you're saying, like I looked at the book, I looked at the role play, and I looked at the workbook, and I looked at the things, and I saw some things that you're adapting and that you're changing. And when you're adapting and changing the scripts, what are some of the things that you look at? Even if we just look at the magic words, which are your favorite magic words? I mean, everybody knows you, for very specific ones, but which are the ones that are your favorite?
It's interesting. And I'm going to take your question and I'm going to jump to something that often gets missed in the book, which is a whole section called simple swaps. And the idea of simple swaps is that every word that leaves your mouth is helping or hurting, nothing is neutral. Every word that leaves your mouth is helping or hurting, nothing is neutral. The same is true with your keyboard, with your thumb stroke on your phone. Is helping or hurting, nothing is neutral. And the idea of simple swaps is can you find sequences of words that are sabotaging that could be helping? Can you find situations where you've got everyday language that is subtracting or dividing from the outcome that you were looking for when it could have been adding to or multiplying towards the outcome you were looking for? And I'm going to give one example because it's not in the book, but the methodology of simple swaps is in the book. And one example of that is the number of times people reach for the word favorite in a question environment. You did it just here right now, right? What is your favorite sequence of words in the book? It is an almost impossible question to answer. And the reason being is that you're asking somebody to rank everything and then put them into an organized list and then respond on purpose, being able to discredit the other 22 in favor of one of the 23. We do this in our everyday life. What's your favorite restaurant? What's your favorite place to visit? What was your top takeaway from this event? The advice I'd give to everybody is to never speak in absolutes. And I know that's ironic, but if you can ban nevers and always and swap them with often and sometimes, if you can ban favorite and say what is maybe just one of the sequences of words in the book that you find yourself utilizing more often than others, or you've had other people share with you as something that's had the biggest impact in their life, you see how I can give a different answer to that question that's more freeing, that it doesn't sabotage everything else. I'm not shining light on one thing and then disrespecting others. See, I could ask you, Steve, what's your favorite place to visit? And how would you answer the question?
Yeah, it's a tough call because the world's a big, beautiful place.
What is somewhere you visited in the past that you've enjoyed so much that you found yourself telling other people about, or that you've perhaps given consideration to maybe wanting to visit again?
Oh, definitely Miami. I've been down there a bunch of times.
Right.
Austin. Yeah, I could lift up.
Right. I just found some of your favorite places to visit, but I didn't ask that question. What's your favorite restaurant? Hey, if you've got friends coming to town, what is somewhere that would be your go-to that you know that would always give a guaranteed outcome?
And sushi every day.
Favorite place to visit. Favorite place to eat. Didn't ask the question, asked a different question, find the answer. So it would be that whole simple swaps methodology is where are there examples of language that is hurting that should be helping? And here we are we've had a kind of martial arts type theme to the early part of our conversation. Like there's a button that is, at the bottom of many contact forms on a website. What word does it say on the button of most contact forms on a website to encourage somebody to complete the form?
It's like sign up or
submit.
Submit, yeah. Yeah,
and that is language that belongs inside the WWE, right?
I have it on one of my shirts, actually. Yeah. Normally I wear.
It's not a good thing, right? If you submit, you're probably not enjoying the experience. Yet we put it as a CTA at the bottom of an experience we want somebody to get a benefit from. If you want that to help you, not hurt you, you swap the word submit to the word next, put 2 arrows behind it, form submission goes up. So that's an example of missing the principle. People think that simple swaps is only picking the 2 examples that are in the book. The actual principle is that every word that leaves your mouth is helping or hurting. Nothing is neutral. If it is neutral, it's a waste. Is it adding to or multiplying towards the outcome you're looking for? Is it subtracting or dividing? And I bet everybody listening to this conversation, if you just reviewed your last 100 sent emails, you would find recurring language that is sabotaging your success, that if you swapped it for something different, you would be achieving better outcomes as early as the next day.
It's so true. I mean, it becomes so innate, but that goes down to practice again.
Mm-hmm.
Because what is your favorite? It's just like, hello, how are you? I'm fine. Thank you.
It's because you have a lazy practice as opposed to an intentional practice. Yep. And those lazy practices occur over time. And the reason those lazy practices occur over time is because most people practice on their prospects. And that's why things like in the real estate market, people are like, what is the number one thing that you're looking for in a house? What did you like best about this one? Or what is a non-negotiable? And we're coming at these very precise scenarios where there looks like a right answer. So when we talk about principles, is probably one of the biggest principles that is taught in our work. It's like on my t-shirt today, is that curiosity is the fuel to great conversation. And you want to study into the research. I think it was Lowenstein back in 1994 that produced a paper, and I just wanted to get the title of it right. It's The Psychology of Curiosity. Read it and you'll understand more about the method that comes behind it. But I give people tiny little word sequences in this book. No one's going to read the research study. But Lowenstein's research in 1994 helps you understand massively the power of curiosity. The number one reason that most of you watch an abundance of videos on social media that you have no desire to be able to learn from is because the person that produced it understood the principles in Lowenstein's work. Everybody who writes to you about hooks on videos is referencing Lowenstein's work, even if they don't know it, because it's all down to the power of curiosity.
Makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. I'm going to go through I want to hit a couple of the words just because I thought it's the idea of which ones do you want to keep? Because I know there's some that you've shifted. You've added new words, because when I compare these to your other, you've added and switched out words. So I'm very curious.
There's method in that madness as well, Steve, is I haven't necessarily added. This is deducted, right? So actually in the role play cards that you're referencing to, they follow the word sequences in our complete curriculum, our workbook, which is what we teach in our certification program. You can't get this workbook without a workshop. The method in my madness is when people find the role play cards, of which we've sold tens of thousands of, they're like, there's new words here. What's the deal? I'm like, well, have you come to the workshop and been through certification? They say, no, what's that? So I deliberately put the words in the role play cards without explanation to them to create a curiosity gap that creates a lead that then comes towards why people would want to do more immersive work from us. Let's talk about sell 3 million of these. There isn't as much margin in this as there is in a certification program.
Certification course. No, that totally makes sense. Let's look at these ones that have created a curiosity gap for me. Yep. And some of them. And I'll pick off the first one. Don't worry. Let's talk about that one and really kind of demystify that.
Okay. So the words don't worry are in fact a label. And when you study into the science behind this, there is a giant whole body of work about the benefit of labeling. And as much as we live in a society that we say we don't like labels, we actually do. Could you imagine stepping into a pantry full of ingredients where everything was in the same jar and nothing was labeled? What we don't like is we don't like the misuse of labels. And we don't like the lazy use of labels that result in us being assumptive in an incorrect way or being derogatory towards a particular group full of people as a result of being able to disrespect that label. But actually, in many ways, a label that could be hurtful to somebody is actually a sign of inclusivity to another group of people. Depends on who and how that label is being used. Don't worry is one of the best examples of this, because people read this in the book and they say, well, if I told somebody to not worry, then that may perhaps create worry. And that's an example of using the label incorrectly. Realtors do this all the time. They say things like, don't worry, we'll get the next one. That is a lie. You don't know for sure. If the label was used with some degree of intent, where what you put behind a don't worry label was something that was fundamentally true, worry would reduce. But there has to be a fundamental truth that sits behind it. I could say, don't worry, we'll get the next one. That's hopeful. Hope doesn't feel like a strategy in this scenario. But if I say, don't worry, there is new inventory coming to market every day, and potentially something could come onto the market that's even better than what we just missed out on, that is hope fueled and true. Worry reduces. Hope is coming in its place.
And I think you said this as well, and I'm going to bastardize this, you can fix it, is you said you're going to teach them about the truth that's true, that's going to be, tell them that the truth that they believe to be true is not true, so that they can focus on the truth that is true about the truth. True.
Yeah, just that, something like that. Is
Help me with
when
that
you
one.
are looking to make recommendations to people, the goal is to ask a series of strategically curious questions to collect a body of evidence that allows your recommendation to both make sense and feel right to the other person. And the goal is to go looking for useful truth. The game you play in your own mind is what needs to be true for it to be true, for the truth that they currently don't believe to be true to be true.
And we got to hit that one more time, because that was, it sounds like a lot of words, but it has so much power in what you just said.
Mm-hmm. So the goal when making recommendations is to ask a series of strategically curious questions that collect a body of evidence that takes a current belief that exists inside somebody's mind and help them feel smarter about it. And the kind of questions that we're looking to ask allow us to collect the evidence for what needs to be true, for it to be true, for the truth that the other person doesn't believe to be true to now be true. And
That's a paradigm. That's a paradigm, because most people, when they're teaching sales, is be like a doctor, find the pain and press it.
Which
and
is
this
not
is a very
like
different.
doctor.
Yeah.
A doctor doesn't do that. And if they did, the doctor would get punched in the face or would be struck up. Right? I think it's important that we understand that is this idea of pain points and probing and looking to be able to almost bully people into making decisions. It's 1986. We're in the business of helping people make smarter decisions. And it doesn't mean that we're a pushover. It means we ask considerately kind questions to get to useful truth. And I give a simple example. The majority of people that are listening to this call right now would probably like to be a teensy bit healthier than they currently are. And whether that's get slightly better sleep, whether that's lose a bit of weight, whether that's like increase muscle mass, whether that is improve cardiovascular ability, whether it's lift more on the bench. I don't know what it might be, but almost everybody has some preference of being able to create a change inside their life and their habits that would improve their physical health in some way, shape, or form. Would you agree, Steve? Like, I don't meet many people that are like, hey, I just want to get unhealthier. And when you take that mindset of, so what needs to be true for it to be true, for the truth that they currently believe to not be true, you start to realize it in this scenario. So the reason that most people can't get enough exercise is because they tell themselves they're too busy. The reason that most people eat a bad diet is because they don't plan well, or because they don't have the skills to be able to understand what a better diet looked like, or they don't take the time to be able to meal plan ahead of time, or that they make bad choices because they didn't have sustenance through the day. So therefore, when it's 8 p.m. at night and they're sat at a bar, then the hunger monsters kick in and hangry makes bad choices, right? And is you start to realize, well, what needs to be true for somebody to not be able to say, I don't have the time? So you ask questions like, so what are some of the things that you spend your time on each week that you're aware that don't actually add value, don't get you all towards what it is that, and they're like, well, I watch a little Netflix for this, and I doom scroll on social for this, and this, and this, and this. Okay. So like, I just found the time.
And then you open up that time block and do a little swap.
Well, and now what I've done is I've created a time block, but I also need to stay in this what needs to be true for it to be true to be able to get there. I think some people have indecision. There are too many options to be able to make. So therefore, the quantity of decisions that could hit them is like, well, do I go on the Peloton? Do I go to the gym? Should I go for a walk? I mean, should I take up a hobby? Could I do kayaking? I mean, I probably need to get to the gym, but I haven't got any home gym equipment. And do I go to Planet Fitness? Do I go to Lifetime Fitness?
Stop reading my brain.
So what then happens is decision fatigue kicks in, and therefore you end up doing nothing because you're overwhelmed with decisions. So you have to then learn to be able to say, how do you write questions that allow somebody to decipher that quantity of decisions? So it becomes gateway questions. Is like, when it comes to working out, is there a particular time of day that you find it gives you more energy rather than it takes from energy? Like, well, actually, I'm kind of better in the mornings. And you could say, so walk me through your morning routine right now. Because you see, if somebody is saying they don't have the time, but they also are a morning person when it comes to working out. You saying your evening time block that you're watching Netflix is when you should be working out is boom, that doesn't work.
It's just not going to happen. Yeah.
No. You have to help them realize that staying up too late and watching Netflix is meaning that they can't get up early enough in the morning. But if they could maybe go to bed an hour earlier, they could get up an hour earlier, they could get a workout in before the day would start. But you can't advise them that. You've got to collect questions to be able to get.
Yeah, and what makes that approach, I think, ethically sound is what you're doing is you're not telling them the direction they're going. You're not convincing them of anything. What you're doing is you're helping them unearth what's already inside them and helping them realize
navigate a complex decision-making process.
Yeah.
And the greatest expense to most people's businesses is indecision. It's all the potential people that you could be working with and helping that can't find clarity in decision-making, so they remain indecisive.
Yep. Yeah, the status quo is your number one competitor.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I think the idea of that curiosity is you're helping them navigate themselves through the whole process.
And then looking at the 50-50 gateways and prioritizing and saying, I'm this, I'm not that, I'm this, I'm not that, I'm this, I'm not that. And through a process of deductions, they realize that the byproduct of it is, I need to go to bed at 9:30 p.m. I need to sign up towards this meal service plan. I need to get myself to the gym because that's actually the only viable option that's going to allow me to be able to get it done. And the only gym that's open at 6 a.m. in the morning within my locality is this one. So the others are off the table. I guess I'm signing up. First workout tomorrow at 6.
And it should be at Mass Academy in Cambridge, Ontario for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so I want to talk a little bit about AI. I mean, it's the elephant in the room. Everybody goes out and is a ChatGPT expert and talks all about AI and how amazing it is for their business. And as a person who works in the AI space, I do see a lot of advantages to AI. What's your perspective on AI? And let's just start off with an open-ended question. What's your perspective?
This is an incredible tool. And I think we can take the term AI and we probably need to get clear on what we're really talking about. We're talking about large language models. Are we talking about predictive indexing? Like, what are we really talking about here when we think about AI?
Yeah,
but if we just use the frame of even just ChatGPT and OpenAI as what we're talking about here, what do I think about it? I think like every weapon, this is really, really, really useful in the right hands. I think it can save lives. I think it can take lives. I think that it is incredibly helpful and incredibly harmful at the same time. And the differentiator around that is the skill of the user. And a frustration that I'm seeing at scale when I look over the last 3 to 9 months, given that here we are in the summer of 2025, is people abdicating both creativity and emotional thinking and then abdicating that to a tool like ChatGPT and believing it's right. This is frightening. Where do I think it is an incredible tool? My belief is that tools like ChatGPT are a more valuable tool as a thinking partner as opposed to a collaborator that can take low fee paying tasks from you. I think they can allow impressive thought leaders to be able to synthesize information quicker and produce a more meaningful output for the moments that matter and not jump towards it as an automation tool to be able to deliver excellence in disguise. So there's a lot I like and a lot I hate. There's not a lot I'm neutral about.
Well, that goes to your swap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and I give examples of things that remarkably frustrate me, right? I wrote a book called Exactly What to Say. ChatGPT knows this book. ChatGPT does not know my principles that live behind the examples that are in this book. The tools that it's been trained on are different. It's been given a recipe it doesn't know how to cook. So the result of which is when people say, are you familiar with Phil M. Jones's book, Exactly What to Say? It says, yes, I'm familiar with that. Are you familiar with the 23 sequences of words in Exactly What to Say? You say, yes. It says, yes. You say to ChatGPT is, I'm looking to be able to craft an email, sales script, a video, etc., utilizing the principles from Exactly What to Say to help X achieve Y. Can you help? It says, yes. And then it spits out garbage. Because it just did what you asked it to do.
And what's a good example of garbage that it might spit out?
For years, people have been taking my work and then forcing the content into a piece of content expecting it to be magic. And the way that I view that is it's like going to an all-you-can-eat Las Vegas buffet, taking the entire contents of the salad bar, sticking it into a smoothie maker and expecting it to taste good, right? It misses the context.
How certain are you that that's going to work?
And what's interesting is people talk about AI all the time, and then they come to me and they're like, Phil, but here's what's important to understand about AI and ChatGPT is like, and they tell me this like it's a big idea, is it's only as good as the way you prompt it. I'm like, is that a new thing? I mean, humans have only ever been as good as the way you prompt them. This is a book of human prompts, and that's the mistake people have. These are the tools to ask questions. These aren't the tools to give answers. Yet people are trying to be able to use this to be able to create answers. And we're in a video environment right now, right? And let me see. I'm gonna just do something here. We're gonna go to ChatGPT, and these are tools that I use. So this isn't anything other than like normal. And I'm gonna ask it to do something. And if we say we want an example of garbage, let me produce garbage using my own work. Okay, can I screen share on Riverside?
Yeah, 100%. You can go to the little square with the arrow up. Yep. Yeah, you can pick 1, 2. You go to share entire screen, 1 or 2.
I'm going to come into ChatGPT, which was open here, and I'm going to ask it, like, are you familiar with Phil M. Jones and the book Exactly What to Say? And yep, it's going to say, boom, I got it, right? And I'm going to then maybe give it a task. And I'm going to say, act as a social media specialist and write me a video script as a real estate agent looking to attract first-time buyers using the words and principles from the book. Absolutely. Here's a 60-90-second video script for first-time buyers. What most people get wrong: warm, confident, reassuring, casual, professional, opening. Most people think that buying your first home is about finding the right listing. Not true. But what if I told you that's actually the easy part? I'm not sure if it's for you, but I work with a lot of first-time buyers who feel totally overwhelmed before they book their first tour. They worry about credit scores, down payments, and making the wrong choice. How open-minded would you be to a quick conversation that takes the guesswork out of the process? This is a pitch way too soon. Is if we spend 15 minutes together, then I can walk you through the exact steps most successful first-time buyers take without the jargon, pressure, or confusion. See how what we're doing is we're pitching way too soon? Just out of curiosity, what's the one thing that's stopping you from getting started, right? We're sounding pushy. We're sounding desperate already. Drop it in the comments or shoot me a message. I mean, who says that? Let's make sure that your first home buying experience is a confident one. It's like a cheesy 1996 radio commercial, right? And then I say, like, now ChatGPT says, would you like versions for Instagram Reels, LinkedIn, or a carousel post? Yes, please, carousel post. Give me a carousel post, because carousel posts are trendy, right? Carousel post. Got it. Here's a carousel post designed for Instagram or LinkedIn to support the video. Cover: thinking of buying your first home. Here are 5 things most people get wrong. I mean, what are we? Like a first-time buyer is not attracted to that type of content in 2025. Mistake 1, waiting for the perfect time. I mean, I'm automatically, as a first-time buyer, being like, I hate you more. Mistake number 2, thinking you need 20% down. Well, I'm not that freaking stupid. Mistake number 3, browsing listings without a strategy. No, I have a strategy, buddy, right? Mistake number 4, talking to the wrong people. I'm not sure if it's for you, but a 15-minute chat, like, there's no knowledge or empathetic awareness or understanding of the other person's scenario. The hero of this story is the agent, and the agent thinks that they're using persuasive and influential principles to be able to attract more of their right type of customer, and they are doing the opposite. Letting fear make the decisions. If you knew exactly what steps to take, would you feel more confident about making your move? DM me the word ready, and I'll share you a free checklist on what to do and in what order.
Do people do checklists anymore?
Exactly. But this is what AI just told somebody to do. That's my point.
Could it be possible they got it wrong?
Right. And that's my point about, like, these tools, is they're not bad tools, but they're badly used by a lot of the people a lot of the time. And the result is people think it's right, and therefore they trust it. So what I think that ChatGPT is, this is a Phil opinion, is this is the world's largest committee. And we know what committees are good for.
Stalling projects?
creating vanilla ice cream type responses, shaving off all the sharp edges of any good ideas. Now, committees have a place, but you don't ask the committee to be the expert or the specialist. You ask the committee to be the committee, and you use it for committee-like responses. And watch what I would do instead is, and I know we can't see the screen right now, but I'm gonna just prompt something slightly different and help people realize how they can be insanely more useful. Is in the same scenario here. Let me go back to ChatGPT and I'm going to ask it a different question. And I'm going to say, hey, can we take a better approach? And they're going to say, what's up? It's pretty obvious. I'm saying, based on your information, where are you based again, bud? You're in Seattle?
Nope, Toronto.
Okay, so based on your information, what are the top 20 reasons young people are not buying their first home in the GTA? And it's going to give me a ton of information. You see, I'm talking to it and I'm getting sky-high home prices, high interest rates, huge down payments, requirements, elevated personal debt, lower real incomes versus inflation, etc. And I'm getting context. And I'm talking to it. What practical solutions could I take as a first-time buyer to overcome these? And now look what it's telling me. Start with a pre-approval, learn the programs that are made just for you. Most first-time buyers don't know about the following: first-time home buyer incentive, shared equity program, land transfer tax rebates up to $8,000 in Ontario, RRSP home buyers plan, borrow up to $35,000 tax-free from your RRSP, TFSA first-time saving account, tax-free in and out, gold mine if you're early saving, Bandy geography, go train accessible towns, Pickering, Ajax, Barrie, Hamilton. Is this better information?
That's great information. It's better than the first pass.
Correct. Now what I've got is some meaningful insights. I could now say, can we run a role play conversation with a potential first-time buyer? And now it gives me a scenario. You're messaging with Taylor, a 29-year-old professional renting in the GTA. She filled out a lead form after seeing one of your Instagram reels titled, "Most people don't know where to start when buying their first home." And what I would now do is I would run exactly what to say methodology through a role play conversation with Taylor. And I would not be looking to create a piece of custom content. Is I would jam a conversation with the committee, i.e. Taylor is built from its knowledge of tens of thousands of young people that are in that first time buyer basis. And I would find out the real obstacles and challenges. And I would prompt the role play to get the insights back so I can grow my empathetic understanding of what that person might be challenged by at this period of time. And that would be my practice. And from that practice, I start to understand what it's like to be Taylor. And now my content is shaped.
So what you're saying is using the ChatGPT moreover for the research around the critical decision-making moments that people have and what's the underlying challenge that they're facing, their underlying perspectives on those challenges.
If I ran that role play over a period of time and shaped this all the way out, I could then say, so using the avatar of Taylor, if I was looking to create a direct mail piece, present me with 3 non-obvious approaches that a strategic high-level marketer would give consideration to if they were being hired by an independent real estate. See, everything about EWTS is slowing conversation down. And when you slow the conversation down with an AI large language model, you get better output. And when you start to use it as a thinking and a sparring partner, then what happens is you get better output. If you go to a jiu-jitsu coach and you say, hey, can you tell me what the game plan is for me to win my next fight? You will find many people will say, here's what you need to do. And then that person will find themselves in a ring and lose because they cannot run that play. But somebody teaching people drills and practices and then putting them into the ring to spar with somebody that then shows them a different level of variety, that creates a level of experience, and that experience comes across as confidence in the realm.
And that goes back to the practice. I mean, at the end of the day, it really goes back to that fundamental thing that, you know, in that crucible of that safe area where you can test and perform, you become so much better. Now, if you become better because you're better prepped in your practice, knowing who you're going to be competing against, so to speak, you know, in that situation of sales, it's not the buyer. You're both competing against whatever the obstacle is of the decision making.
Correct.
And that's the true competitor.
And people are using social media. They're using artificial intelligence and models like ChatGPT to do all the work for them. And they're looking for the easy button here. Can you write me a video script to do this? Can you write me a sales letter to do this? Can you use this information and turn it to my next email marketing campaign? Can you give me subject lines? But what they don't have is context first.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I think it's been said before around the principles are senior to the mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so incredibly true. And until you really understand, I think, the principles, applying the idea of the mechanics, you can become very clunky with that.
Correct. And we miss the emotional intelligence. And what we end up doing is you get the output that was as good as the input. And the input wasn't very good.
And I think that's what makes your approach to communication. Because I think a lot of times when people look at structured communications, they think about it as, persuasion is bad.
Mm-hmm.
And where yours, what you're really doing is you're creating curiosity and you're doing that through empathy, which is understanding them. That to me sounds extremely ethical.
But what I could do then is I could take that Taylor role play scenario that I just created, and I could create the avatar of Taylor, and then I could write a "I'm not sure if it's for you," but preface to Taylor, and I could say, "I'm not sure if it's for you, but how open-minded would you be to understanding all that's involved in being able to purchase your first home?" And I could just work through the book of examples, and I could jam backwards and forwards and realize that actually winning in conversational interaction, you should do this much of the talking, and they should do this much of the talking. Yet what many people are using tools like AI for is to create this much of a play, like a giant piece of output that in theory creates the outcome you're looking for. People are using this to create prompts, but this is the prompt. So we've got it the wrong way around.
That is an integration of Pareto principle and saying that you're using the AI to do the Pareto principle of the 80%, which is really building and understanding the market because it knows it intimately.
Correct.
And what you're applying is the 20%, which is that skill that you apply based on the courses and the learning that you've taken.
My buddy James Shaw said it best the other day is be the librarian. It's the library. Don't photocopy books. Be the librarian of being able to pull the right parts of it. It's this giant knowledge base. But what we're asking it to be able to do is to know my work. What it knows is people. Have it know people and have it teach you how the work would respond when you play with people. It knows people better than it knows my work.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. That's true. That's definitely true.
Because it has so much data on people. Therefore, you can trust it more so. It doesn't have enough data on my work.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very true. Now, out of curiosity, if there was a situation where somebody was saying, I really like the stuff that you're doing, I really like your book, I really like the card game, what is the next step? I know there's the certification that you guys do. Talk to me a little bit about the certification. What's the difference that you get when you go to a certification versus what you're doing in the book and what you do in the card game?
I'm going to try to put an analogy around this. Reading the book is like listening to an album on Spotify. Coming to a certification is like going to an immersive experience with the writers and the performers of the music that help you understand the method behind it, that then also help you understand how to craft songs all by yourself, then show you that through the lens of the songs that have been created on the album, teach you how to be able to create your own music, give you some behind the scenes access, and cook for you and connect with you and help provide a life-changing experience at the exact same time over a 3-4 day behind the scenes immersive experience. Now, they might be the same songs, but that is not the same experience.
No, it definitely is not.
So the certification experience is designed to be able to teach people the method behind exactly what to say. It teaches people how to be able to apply it to all the scenarios inside their lives, leadership, sales, business development, but also communication with your key family relationships, with your spouse, with your loved ones, with estranged social scenarios that you're looking to be able to improve on, all amongst a room full of people that carry a similar level of value. And we charge a premium price point for our certification event. It's $5,500. We're remarkably proud of our price. And what that gives you is it gives you other people that equally see that as good value. So if you're in an event experience with 42 other people that all took that same choice, chances are that you're going to be able to learn a lot from who you meet, as well as just the content experience that comes with it. And that would be the same reason that you'd go to an immersive experience with a band on their ranch, because everybody else who decided to go on that is somebody who's insanely interesting to you. So the quality of your network goes up as a result of the experience too. And you find yourself safe enough to talk about things that you wouldn't normally talk about in many of your leadership environments or many of your normal environments, because you've got an ego attached to your everyday. Take yourself out of an environment, put yourself with a room full of people who already have high ego as the bar. It actually breaks down barriers for everybody in the room. So that's our certification experience. We run 2 a year, 40 odd people each, all in New York City.
Sounds amazing.
And yeah, they're special.
That sounds amazing. What does the final 2 questions that I have? One's a repeat question. I'm going to apologize around this, but I just thought it was interesting. You asked once is if you were going to change the name of Exactly What to Say, would you consider changing it to Exactly What to Ask?
Mm-hmm. I mean, really, that is what the book is. It is exactly what to ask. That is just not the thing that people want to know. And when you're titling things, just like when you're asking questions, you can't ask the question that you would like the answer to get the answer. You have to ask a different question that allows them to answer the question you were really looking for. In the same way that if I wanted to help us choose dinner tonight, Steve, I wouldn't ask you, what would you like for dinner? I would ask you what you had for lunch. If I asked you what you had for lunch, you can answer more freely, and then we can build out from there and find context towards what you would like for dinner. But if I called this book Exactly What to Ask, nobody would buy it. If I call it Exactly What to Say, people are like, I need to know exactly what to say. I found myself lost for words on many ever given occasion, etc. So the title has more merit. The swap of ask to say makes this insanely more palatable.
It does. Yeah, no, that's well put for sure. What does Exactly What to Say 2.0 look like?
I mean, we have a North Star inside the business at large, is that to keep playing bigger than the book. And the book is so well distilled that there is so much more life that we can bring into other parts of what live around it. So the role play cards are an example of that. But we keep going more and more. We have day planners and certification, and we have our certified guides. We're building a B2B offering inside of corporations at EWTS Workplace. We have a coaching arm called EWTS Coaching. We have EWTS Media, that's a media offering that supports speakers, trainers, coaches, and consultants that want to create better assets out of the content they get back from live events. So all of that is happening in the background. I think the bigger part of all that we're working on, though, is swimming upstream in terms of bringing more gravitas towards the brand. We just completed our first national study, and we studied the critical conversations in the workplace. I'm insanely excited about the insights that have come back from that. And we're finding the moments inside of working America and working Canada to find what are the reasons that people stay in companies. What are the moments that result in somebody wanting to leave in a company? What are the moments that recur inside of people's conversational tracks of meetings and Zoom calls and phone meetings and Slack channels, and like, what's helping, what's hurting? What is the preferred method of communication for this type of conversation? Like, I'm obsessed by it. Trying to be able to find out where efficacy is helping and where efficacy is hurting inside of organizations because of known unknowns that people aren't taking enough time to be able to research. So that's really where we're going, and becoming way more science-backed in the approach that we're bringing towards conversational competence in the workplace.
That sounds amazing. So you have a very astute and diligent research team that's going out there and grabbing a lot of data to back a lot of the ideas that you're coming through. That's
sometimes
perfect.
Not even back, just to find out, Steve. It's like, I've had the gift of being able to become a researcher of my work in real time, right? I'm a practitioner that then packaged as skills and then shared with others. Most people do the research and never get the field expertise. I've come at this the other way around, but it means that I feel a sense of duty to keep the research part of what it is that we're doing very live and very real. And that when people say, why does that work and why does that matter? My answers go beyond, well, when I was in a situation 15 years ago, this is what I taught and how it worked, is I'm keep trying to break my own principles through collecting data and actually testing it in the marketplace. And that, I think, keeps us relevant. It is, you have to stop being an expert of your thing and start becoming a researcher of the topic that you talk about. And then you can say strong and true for the rest of time. And Lots of real estate team leaders have this trouble. Is they used to be a rainmaker and know how to be able to win deals and close business. And then as time goes on, their value that they bring to the team starts to reduce because they're so far distant from the reality of what they're asking people to do. Like they used to be so valuable because they could coach and train newer agents on the way to do things, but they learn how to not do things, and therefore their training becomes less relevant. Whereas if they remained obsessed and researched what it was taking to win right now, and then became a curator of content and experiences, their relevance would remain high value.
Yeah. Again, closing off with, again, that final reference to John Danaher is that's one of the things. I mean, he's never competed. He's never won any titles. He's never done anything in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But his focus on research has been so imperative for him to support the people who are doing the things to do it. So that's amazing to see the research that you're doing in the business world and the verticals that you're developing. And Phil, it's been an absolute pleasure having the podcast. You're just such a resource of knowledge, and I love going live and don't tell me, show me element of using ChatGPT. That was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, sorry we couldn't screen share. I'll have to try and
I know.
set that up for next time for Riverside. But it's I hope that people got the point regardless. And in some ways, it's better to not see it, to then go away and try and play it themselves. Is my one piece on that is don't trust it as being right. You've got to really spar with it to be able to get the right input out with it. And then it's insanely valuable.
Yeah, my fundamental belief on AI is treat it like a hire. Don't treat it like a piece of software. You're going to have a better relationship.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just like employees, it's going to make a lot of mistakes.
Yep, exactly. And trust that it will make mistakes. So therefore don't trust that it's right, and teach it to be better and extract more for it. But what it's really good at is knowing people. So use it to be people at scale, and you can get a lot from it. Use it to be expert in one thing based on the limited knowledge base. Expect mistakes.
Yep. No, it's beautiful. Well, Phil M. Jones, it's been a pleasure having you, learning exactly what to say. And man, I'm going to enjoy playing this game. I still enjoy playing this game daily. And now I've got some new insight, especially on the swap.
And play it with ChatGPT, right? Play it with a situation you've got. Create a character, an avatar, and then role play the cards through the ChatGPT scenario.
I love it. Thanks so much. And guys, this is the money. This is the mindset. This is the mentoring podcast. We'll see you on the next one.
Cheers, Dave.